Unmute your speaker or increase volume. You are using computer audio. There is one participant.
Ooh, we have a participant?
Ooh, it is recording. I don't know. Do we actually have a participant? It's just me. They count me as a participant. That's cute. We'll just wait 1 second. Can you see the fireplace in the background?
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. That is something. Probably going to sit here and talk to ourselves for a while. I'm glad that you got the green memo. Because it's not a World Youth Day color. I thought, oh my gosh, I should have totally worn my red, white, and blue.
Oh,
because that's a Panama color.
Yeah.
But then everybody would have thought I was like wearing American colors. So we'll just hang on for like 1 second and we'll get going. It's gonna be weird talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm used to talking to people. And my dog. So Tom, do you know much about Panama?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know much. Very little. No. I've been to Costa Rica, the neighbor, a few times, but
yeah, I think they're different countries. Oh, okay. We'll just get started, I think, and then if people jump on, we can do that. Look for my screen sharing. Okay. So we're not sitting here picking our noses and talking
scratch.
about
Scratch.
Yeah, right. We're just going to get started with our webinar. So welcome everybody who is probably actually tuning in not right now. Thank you for not joining us right now, and thank you for watching this video back.
Welcome to you in the future.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Doesn't happen often, but every now and then we get to communicate. So we're just going to get started. I'm going to screen share. Oh, I don't know what I just did. What is the first thing? We're just going to get started in prayer, and we're going to pray the Pilgrim Prayer for World Youth Day together. So we're going to share it on our screen, and we ask that as you watch this, you pray as well. So this is the Pilgrim Prayer. Let's see if I can pull it up. What's happened? All right. So let's just begin in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Merciful Father, you call us to live our lives as a way of salvation. Help us to recall the past with gratitude, to embrace the present with courage, and to build the future with hope.
Lord Jesus, our friend and brother, thank you for looking upon us with love.
Let us listen to your voice as it resonates in the hearts of each one with the strength and light of the Holy Spirit.
Grant us the grace of being church that goes forth with vibrant faith and a youthful face to communicate the joy of the gospel. May we help to build up the kind of society we long for, one where there is fairness and fellowship. We pray for the Pope and the bishops, for young people, for all those who will take part in World Youth Day in Panama, and for those who are preparing to welcome them. Our Lady of Antigua, patroness of Panama, help us to pray and live with generosity like yours. I am the servant of the Lord. May it be done to me according to your will.
Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. So now that we stumbled over our prayer, we are going to actually screen share most of this presentation with everybody so that you can just kind of follow along, and we're just going to kind of go back and forth on each slide. So obviously there's nobody here, so if you do jump on, just maybe shoot us a little chat. At the bottom of your screen you can see a chat icon, so if you get on and the meeting's already started, just go ahead and let us know that you're here. Otherwise we'll take questions via email, and our contact information is in the presentation as well. So I'm serving as the contact for Our Lady of the Lake.
And I'll be the contact for St. Francis de Sales.
And we probably should say our names. So I'm Liz Markovich, and I'm the youth minister here at Our Lady.
I'm Tom Eggleston. I am the pastoral associate at both Our Lady of the Lake and St. Francis.
And together we're kind of starting up young adult ministry at both of the parishes here in the Holland Zealand community. And so this is just one of the awesome, crazy things that we have coming down the pipeline for young adults. So just before we begin, I guess I should say that this meeting is particularly for people that are 18 and over, and you need to be out of high school at the time of the event. So sorry if you were in high school, you are still considered a teen in my book, and so you're not traveling with us. Sorry. But everybody else up to age 35, I believe, is welcome to attend. So this meeting is for you. In the past, we've taken people that are under 18, but this year we're not traveling with Life Teen, so we are just going to take a group of young adults. And I know that if anybody is interested, I believe the diocese will take people that are 16 and up if they have a parent with them, so you are welcome to contact them. With that being said, I should say that this is not the diocesan group. They're going with the Archdiocese of Detroit, and we just we decided to go with a different travel agent, and I think it's going to be a really awesome experience because this guy knows what he's talking about, and I know him personally as well. So,
and we should say that Liz and I have experience leading trips to World Youth Day. This will actually be our second time leading a group to World Youth Day.
And so this is not something that's foreign to us. And we had this guy actually served as our travel agent last year in Krakow. And we just had a really, really phenomenal experience with them. So, and it's somebody, and we'll tell you a little bit more about who they are in just a second. So I'm going to begin the screen share. So if you don't see us for a while, bummer for you, but I think you'll get over it. So, okay, so, all right, so the travel agency that we've decided to go with is Doobie Travel. They've been in business for about 55 years, and it was founded by Paul Doobie. We're actually working with the current owner right now, Chris Doobie, who is obviously a relative of Paul. They're part of Travel Leaders. They've been doing World Youth Day pilgrimages since 1997, and they were the official travel agency for World Youth Day in Krakow and helped to get over, I think it was like 3,000 pilgrims plus from the United States to Krakow. So they really know what they're doing, and they're a Catholic company, so they understand pilgrimages, and they understand pilgrimages in the Catholic setting. So that was really important.
They did a really excellent job. They really did. So we're wondering, we wanted to talk about what is a pilgrimage, and what is World Youth Day in particular. These are I should say, the objectives of what we're going to try to cover in this webinar. So what is a pilgrimage? What is World Youth Day? Panama, why Panama? The itinerary for the trip, the package details, the question of insurance and whether to get travel insurance, and then address any questions that may come up. To begin, what is a pilgrimage? Pilgrimage is an ancient way of having an encounter with the living God. So one way to think about pilgrimage is as a retreat in action. So oftentimes we may set aside a couple of days or a week or sometimes longer to go on retreat. And we think about people going to a monastery or a cabin out in the woods to pray. A pilgrimage, one way to think about a pilgrimage is in that same sort of way of setting aside time to get in touch with God, but it's more of an active way of doing that through walking, through talking, through having conversations with people around you. So it's a retreat. God is present, grace is being poured upon you, but a retreat in action. Another thing to think about as what is a pilgrimage is that it's a metaphor for life. This is something that Pope Francis has touched on a number of times. Is pilgrimage, when you walk a pilgrimage, especially you're going to go through times that are hard and times that are very joyful, and it ends up being a way for us to think about life in general. Our experience in pilgrimage is a sort of a metaphor for life.
And we had some interesting ups and downs on our
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yep.
Crazy stories come from these things. It's awesome. All right, so just a little bit about World Youth Day. World Youth Day started in Rome with Pope St. John Paul II in 1985. And I think it's every 2 to 3 years, honestly. The Pope gathers youth from all over the world to address them in the current age. And so we had World Youth Day in Rome, Italy in 1985. We were in Buenos Aires, Santiago de Compostela, Częstochowa, is that how we say that? I can't even remember. Częstochowa? I don't know. Sorry, Polish people. Denver, Manila in the Philippines, Paris, Rome, Toronto. Many people remember Toronto. Cologne, Germany, Sydney, Australia, Madrid, Spain, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and then last year Krakow, and now we're on to Panama City. So this has been going on for almost about 30 years now.
Wow,
almost 40 years.
So the goals of World Youth Day. First of all, a moving and sanctifying pilgrimage in faith. Think about it's certainly a travel experience, but it's different than going on vacation. It's a pilgrimage. So we try to think about this in a different mindset. It's an experience of the power of the Holy Spirit to strengthen the faith of our young people, you among them. It's a chance to rediscover the centrality of the Word and Sacrament. World Youth Day consistently, I've been to 2 already, and the ways of coming together to pray with the Word and Sacrament are tremendously beautiful. It's a chance to enable pilgrims to be witnesses to Christ. People look to these gatherings as moments of peace and Christian witness. And it's a chance also to provide an encounter with Jesus Christ, His Spirit, and His Church, according to our Saint Pope John Paul II.
All right, so every year World Youth Day has a theme. Last year, I believe it was Blessed are the Merciful, they will be shown mercy.
It was the year of mercy.
It was the year of mercy, and so we visited the shrine of, I guess it's a shrine. I don't know. We didn't see the official one. So we went to visit the image of the Divine Mercy, who is Christ. Mm-hmm. And if anybody knows anything about Divine Mercy, it's very much connected to the Blessed Mother, because she was the cause of our joy and the vessel by which Divine Mercy entered the world. So this year, the theme is very Marian, and it's I am the servant of the Lord. May it be done to me according to your word. Now, I just want to point out, notice they changed the word handmaid to servant. I'm just saying, but I don't think men want to be called handmaids.
I don't want to be a handmaid.
I am the handmaid of the Lord.
Yeah. There are a good number of patron saints for World Youth Day in 2019. Just to look at the list there, St. Jose Sanchez del Rio, St. Juan Diego from Mexico, Blessed Sor Maria Romero Meneses, I don't know of her, St. John Bosco, St. John Paul II, Blessed Oscar Arnulfo Romero, the famous Archbishop from El Salvador, St. Martí de Porres, and St. Rose of Lima.
That was my bad. I had a couple spelling errors.
Oh, I don't know.
St. Martin de Porres.
Martin de Porres.
I don't know why is that something on my screen? Oh, I thought the R had an accent over it. Okay.
Martin de Porres. I know that guy.
Yeah. Everybody knows Martin de Porres. Martin de Porres is a different person.
Yeah.
All right. So what happens at World Youth Day? To those of you who are new to the idea of World Youth Day, typically it begins Tuesday during the week with an opening mass celebrated by a local bishop. I can't remember which bishop. Maybe Archbishop Wenski. I can't remember. Somebody from Poland opened World Youth Day for us last year. And then on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday morning, they have catechesis. These are also called diocese days, or days in the diocese. And essentially what you do is you go to catechesis based on your language. And so we'll be going to English catechesis. And if anybody speaks Spanish, they'll probably have the opportunity to go to Spanish catechesis as well. Mm-hmm. Wednesday night is a really large celebration. There's a bunch. This will be, I I guess I should say this is, it's not yet finalized because the people that sponsor it are, the people that sponsored it last year were Life Teen and the Knights of Columbus, and it was known as the Night of Mercy, where Bishop Robert Barron presided over adoration and benediction, and there was an XLT in there, meaning a night of worship with a talk. Joel Stepanek, a pretty well-known Catholic speaker, gave a talk on mercy that night. And they offered confessions throughout this arena. And so there will be some form of like ginormous praise and worship and night of prayer on that night. And that's also the same day that we're waiting for the Holy Father to arrive in that country. So he'll probably fly in that day. And then on Thursday afternoon, we'll officially welcome the Holy Father to Panama. On Friday, we'll pray the Stations of the Cross together. This is really cool to have. Last year, I think it was like live Stations of the Cross, and they had like, oh my gosh, it was so pretty. There was like, oh my gosh, you remember the sunset? There was like this like sweet sunset coming in, and there's all these actors like acting out the stations, like, and they were hanging in the air. Like, it was just so cool. I've never seen anything like it. Then Saturday is the day that we take our long walk to the Vigil site. And then the Vigil is kind of what World Youth Day is known for. If anybody remembers World Youth Day down in Brazil, you remember seeing images of people all along Copacabana, camped out waiting for the Holy Father to come and say Mass on Sunday morning. Same thing in Krakow. Everybody camps out overnight. You stay up late and you play games and you pray and you sing and you do all these awesome things. And then on Sunday, the Holy Father comes and there's a closing Mass. And that's kind of where he addresses the youth of the world. And we hear a lot of things like what came out of the last one was don't be a couch potato, all that good stuff. And then throughout the entire city and throughout the entire week, there are a lot of concerts and speakers and just all types of cultural entertainment because it's kind of an opportunity for the country to show the world who they are and the way that Christ reveals himself to that particular culture. So it's a really, really neat experience.
It should go without saying maybe too that the experience of being there in the city with all the pilgrims from around the world it's sort of like an electric feeling where there are all these events going on, but much of the experience is meeting people in the street, meeting people from all over the world, and talking about a shared vision of humankind along with our God.
Oh, I thought I took this slide out, but this is actually kind of funny, and I was thinking about this. So last year in Krakow, the Holy Father announced where we were going to have World Youth Day. And I think everybody was like absolutely shocked that we were going to Panama. And I think it makes a lot of sense now, but I think that everybody was very surprised. So why Panama?
World Youth Day Panama will be January 22nd through the 27th of the year 2019. Typical reaction to the dates, including my reaction for World Youth Day Panama when it was announced. It was why the end of January, and the reasons were the seasonality. It's the dry season in Panama. Schools are out from Christmas to early March, and this is easier for Latin American countries.
So many Latin American countries don't have very many pilgrims that have traveled to World Youth Day because of like the distance and stuff. So this is the Holy Father really trying to make it accessible to these cultures. So that's very cool.
In the Southern Hemisphere, it's summer then.
Yes.
Summer vacation.
This is a map of where Panama is, in case you didn't know. So it's sandwiched right between Costa Rica and Colombia. And Panama City is literally, I believe, right where the canal runs through. I cannot see that. Ooh, look at that. Zoom. Zoom. Oh, zooming back out. Coming back. All right. So that's where we're going. We're going to Panama, in case you didn't know where Panama is.
There are some misconceptions about Panama, or things that people worry about when thinking about going to World Youth Day in Panama. The first is that it is third world. There is only one world, and it is there is no first world or third world. But I'll get off of my soapbox about that. This is I guess the worry along with that is that it's very poor, and that there's a lot of crime, or that it will be very, very hot. And these are things that we're all taking into consideration when thinking about going to Panama. And these are not things that you will have to worry about.
All right. So just another thing you should know: Panama is very modern, actually, and this is kind of a picture, an image of the coastline, a number of different pictures of the coast. And most hotels are new, built within the last 5 to 10 years. So all of these buildings that we see this is just a growing metropolis. Wow. Essentially. It's pretty cool.
With all of this in mind, the U.S. State Department issues statements about travel to different countries. And what it says about travel to Panama is that Panama remains relatively safe when compared to other Central American countries, yet crime rates are still higher than one would encounter in most of the U.S.
So don't worry.
Yeah.
Is what they're saying.
Yeah.
All right. And that's pretty common. The United States is actually a very safe country, in case you guys haven't noticed. In case you're new to the travel thing, there is no place like it. So this is kind of just a glimpse of what the weather is historically been like at this time of year. So as you can see, because we live in Michigan, it's definitely going to be hot. Mm-hmm. But the humidity is relatively medium, I would say. It's kind of like what you could expect being in Florida, maybe a little bit further south. So it's not going to be anything too crazy. Nothing we haven't experienced ourselves here in Michigan, quite honestly.
These are fast facts about Panama. It is 1,100 miles from Miami, 3,000 miles from Los Angeles, 1,800 miles from Mexico City. The country itself is 480 miles long, 37 to 110 miles wide. There are less than 4 million people. The population in city, about half. I think that must mean that the urban population there in Panama City. Mm-hmm. From the Atlantic to the north, Pacific to the south.
Just say the Atlantic Ocean's to the north.
Oh, gotcha.
The Pacific
Yeah,
Ocean's to the south.
Yeah,
bullet points.
That is strange. Yeah, it is 75 to 85% Catholic. It is just north of the equator, but seasons are reversed, and sunrise and sunset almost at the same time year round.
So it sounds like they might not have, daylight saving time, so we're gonna get heart attacks.
Right. yeah.
All right. So this is just a little bit about Panama. There are 10 provinces and 5 native reserves. They take the U.S. dollar, an official currency. And,
very convenient.
It's also referred to as the Balboa. And Spanish is the official language. So all you Spanish speakers, we need you. And electricity is 110 volts. And I cannot remember right now the electricity in the United States. But we can get a converter or an adapter and be fine. Mm-hmm. That's what the great thing about traveling is. We have all those tools. So tropical weather, typically about 80 degrees Fahrenheit on average. And 120 countries do not need a visa to visit Panama, and the U.S. is one of them. We'll talk about that
very convenient
in a minute. So just to kind of preface, we're going to get into kind of the itinerary for the trip and looking at different locations. This says possible event venues because World Youth Day planning is still actually in progress because it's still a year away. So what the country does is they work with the World Youth Day organization to determine what is best going to support the expected number of people. Mm-hmm. So they're still examining what is going to be the safest, most effective location for transport and travel. So these are just some of the possible locations. This is right along the Pacific coast, I believe. We have Howard. I don't know. That's so
we'll go see Howard.
Cinta Costera, and then the convention center up in Panama Viejo, I think is where that is. So this is kind of like Panama City on the coast. Okay, so Cinta Costera, the picture. I guess we should let you look at the picture for a second. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. I want to swim in that ocean.
I do too.
Visual enclosing mass possibility, old Howard.
So well, this is perhaps goes without saying, but we're assuming, but the assumption is good that there will be certain events that will take place at World Youth Day because they have it all the past ones, and one of them is the vigil enclosing mass, in which place at all of the past World Youth Days have been at huge fairgrounds or large fields because everybody goes there to a sort of central location and camps out at night. So when looking at Panama, we don't know exactly where this will be, but there are some people guessing about where the vigil and the closing mass will take place.
And we'll be updated on this as time goes on, but Panama is such a small country as well, so there are going to be fewer options than in like a busier, more developed area that might have stadium upon stadium to choose from.
Yeah.
So, all right. So our itinerary, and this is adjusted. So World Youth Day, as mentioned previously in the presentation, is actually from January 21st to January 28th. However, we do have to account for travel time. So if we're looking at departure from Holland, we're looking into leaving Friday evening after everybody gets out of work on January 18th, and then driving to Chicago because that's where we'll have to hop on a flight. And it actually is going to save us a ton of money to fly direct from Chicago instead of going to Grand Rapids. So that's just something that we have kind of decided as a group that we're just going to save some money.
And direct flights. So great.
Yes. So on Friday, we'll stay the night at probably like some sort of park and fly, so that we can leave our cars there as well. And we will fly down. The flight typically, there's only a couple flight options that we have, and it looks like the flight that we're going to be on is at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. So we will depart the United States and arrive in Panama. I think it's like a 6-hour flight, I want to say,
well,
six-ish. And then on Sunday, so after we arrive, we'll have like the rest of the day to kind of just like check into the hotel and see, like walk around, do whatever we want to do. On Sunday, there's a city tour. I'm going to visit to the Panama Canal. And on Monday, there's a visit to the Gamboa Rainforest. And that says event because Doobie Travel has graciously arranged a night of prayer, kind of like our own like vigil, if you will, before the start of World Youth Day events, where Steve Angrisano, who's a Christian recording artist or a Catholic recording artist, will come and lead us in worship. And there will probably be a couple speakers and just opportunities for prayer and maybe reconciliation, that kind of thing. So I'm not sure exactly all the details of that, but one of the things that you need to know is that there are not a ton of pilgrimage sites in Panama. It's a relatively newer country in terms of development, so we don't have all of these old cathedrals and churches to visit like we would in Krakow or in Madrid or any places that we've had World Youth Day before. So one of the things that our travel agent is doing is working hard to create encounter events and opportunities for us to encounter Christ in the culture by providing by having interesting things in places that you wouldn't normally have them. So for example, this Gamboa Rainforest, this night of worship in the rainforest, you wouldn't normally have a night of worship in a rainforest. It would be in a church or a convention center or something like that. So they're really working hard to make sure that we fill our time on pilgrimage doing things that lead us deeper into relationship with Christ and the church. So so know that. So then on Tuesday, we have the opening mass. And on Wednesday, it says World Youth Day, World Youth Day. That means that those are the diocese days, and those are days for catechesis. On Thursday in the afternoon, we'll welcome the Holy Father to Panama. This is typically when you see him in Krakow. He came in on what do you call that? A metro or a train thing.
Oh yeah.
And everybody lines the streets, and he'll like drive by in some sort of vehicle or something.
That was a fun time.
That was amazing. That was probably one of the highlights of our trip, honestly. So we'll welcome the Holy Father to Panama on Friday. We have catechesis in the morning, and then in the afternoon, the Holy Father will lead us in Stations of the Cross. And then we'll have the hike to the Vigil on Saturday. And this could be, last year, I think it was about a 10-mile hike. It could be further, being that we're in a country that might not have a big location for us all together right in Panama City. So, so we might have to walk a while. So get ready to do that. So we'll walk to the Vigil, and then we'll stay for the Vigil, and then on Sunday we'll have the closing Mass, and then we'll have like a farewell celebration with our group that Jubies will plan for us, so we can kind of just gather and have dinner together and process our experience together, and then we'll return to the United States on Monday the 28th. So that's kind of the itinerary in a nutshell.
There are a number of lovely churches that we'll be taking in Panama City. The Cathedral, the Basilica, Santa Maria la Antigua, and then the National Sanctuary of the Heart of Mary, and Our Lady of Carmen Church.
Who is Our Lady of Mount Carmel? I learned that today. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah. Like, and also I skipped over for the minor Basilica of Don Bosco.
All right, so these are just a couple of the locations that we know that we're going to. So the airport looks like it's just northeast of the city center of Panama. I'm guessing it's like a 30-minute drive, maybe a little bit longer because it's not like U.S. highways. And then Gamboa, which is where the rainforest is obviously quite a bit away from the city. All right, this is Steve Angrisano. In case you didn't know who that is, that's the guy who could be leading one of our nights of worship.
Opportunities to pray in Panama, like Liz was saying earlier, we'll be hopefully being able to enter into some prayer and worship experiences that may not be in churches or other religious sites. But we will have experiences, opportunities to go to Mass, hear music, hear talks, enter into adoration, and the possibility of a rosary procession.
All right, so one of the things that we'll have the opportunity to see again, because we don't have a ton of pilgrimage sites, is the Gamboa rainforest. And people are going to want to see the Panama Canal. Like, let's be real, if you come all the way to Panama, you probably want to see the one thing Panama is really known for. So with that tour to Panama Canal, there's a little boat excursion to Monkey Island. Yes. I'm really excited about the monkeys. I'm all excited about the pilgrimage sites, but God created monkeys too, and right. I think that's awesome. Yeah. So there's also a butterfly pavilion. So there's a lot of just neat opportunities to see like parts of creation that we wouldn't normally see here in Michigan. And an aerial team ride to view the wildlife through all that. So that little picture of people in those little carts, you can kind of go with a guide to see all of the rainforest. And then there's lunch and dinner that day. All right, so this is just a little, I don't really know what this is. I think this was showing like where one of the hotels is in relationship to Avenida Balboa, which is kind of like the main drag, if you will, of Panama City. Yes.
The World Youth Day pilgrimage to Panama will include the following: round trip airfare from Chicago, airport and hotel transfer, 9 nights hotel accommodations at Hyatt Place or a similar sort of accommodation and hotel, city tour of Panama, the Gamboa Rainforest Rally.
That means like the prayer thing.
Yeah.
I just want to be real
Rainforest. Yeah, prayer thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, rally. Yeah. Right. The welcome and farewell dinner, daily breakfast at the hotels, luggage tags.
That's important.
I still have mine from Krakow, actually. World Youth Day registration and the services of Doobie Travel, escort, and Panamazing staff.
Yes.
The price target is approximately $3,300 per person.
And I should note this is a couple $100 cheaper than the diocese. So this is kind of like the range of what a typical trip is looked like. I've looked at probably 3 or 4 travel agencies now, and this is actually by far the best deal that we've come across. Typically they're like $3,500 or $3,600.
Remember too, that the cost there is airfare plus lodging plus all these other things too. So there won't be, costs that pop up on you afterwards.
Right. Your days are pretty much planned out, and besides needing money for like a couple meals here and there, and then any souvenirs that you want to take home, there's really not much that is included, except your passport. So, the other thing that we are looking into, and we're waiting to hear back from our travel agent, is what it would look like if we decided to offer an optional trip extension to visit Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City. And if that were the case, we would probably go and visit the Shrine of Our Lady. We'd probably leave that Thursday, the 17th, I think it would be. So leave a day early, and then if you wanted to, you could do that. I'm guessing that would be an extra $500 or so. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me. It could be way more than that. So we're not sure if that's going to be an option right now, but it's something that we're looking into because we thought like, oh my gosh, we're so close. We may as well make a quick stop. So just know that could be an option as well.
Documentation requirements. You will need a passport. U.S. citizens must have a valid passport with the expiration date at least 6 months from the date of your return.
This is key, people.
Yeah.
This is key.
This is an important
If you got stranded, you would need to get back into the U.S. So make sure you start checking your passports and start renewing them.
And don't wait to the last minute, please, to get your passport because it takes 4 to 6 weeks. It will cost you $135 and go to the passport office, often located in the post office.
We have, I believe, our post office here in Holland takes appointments.
It does.
For passport renewals and people that are getting new passports. And then I believe the one in New Zealand also takes appointments. And I know the one in Grand Haven does, as well as the one, I don't know if the one in Allendale does, but I'm just trying to think of post offices near here.
There's no visa requirement for U.S. citizens.
And that is awesome. One thing about the passports, you may as well just get it. Especially we have a lot of travel rules changing in the U.S. soon, and you'll actually need a driver's license that has a particular marking on it if you're going to want to travel inside the U.S. And if you don't have that marking, that little star marking on your driver's license, you will need to travel with a passport as well domestically. So security is kind of cracking down, and so it's good to have. And I've had times, honestly, where I jetted up to Canada really quick. Or, got called to go somewhere really quick, and I had to leave. So so it's nice to just be able to have that. And just to make note, because I know people will ask, those enhanced driver's licenses, even though it's a drivable distance, those do not work. They only work in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So you do have to have an actual passport book. So the one pictured in the slide there is what you're looking for.
There's an estimated payment schedule. The deposit, which is a $500 deposit, non-refundable by January 15th, 2018, which is coming up fast.
We are a big believer in Christmas presents.
Yeah.
Okay? And if this payment schedule does not work for you, but you think that you could still pay the amount for the trip, just reach out to one of us and we will definitely work with you. That should not be a hindrance.
Right. Yeah. Yes. But as things stand right now, with our flexible schedule, payments of $500 each will be due on March 1st, 2018, May 1st, 2018, and July 1st, 2018. And the final balance will be due on October 1st, 2018.
And that final balance, just so it doesn't sneak up on anybody, If you look at the payments, so that adds up to about $2,000, and the trip cost is about $3,300. So that's an additional $1,300 due by October 1st. So paying as much as you can, as quick as you can, is always a good option. And absolutely, if you want to pay in full, you can pay in full. If you need to do weekly payments, we can work with you. If you need to do monthly payments that are bigger or smaller, we can work with you in your budget. The price is not super flexible, though, I will say, because this is a young adult trip. Most young adults we expect to be young professionals because of the time of year and college students not being able to sneak away. So we are not, as a parish, doing any fundraising for this trip. However, we are happy to point you in the direction of different ideas of fundraising that you could do on your own, like writing letters or GoFundMe, things like that. They just will not be parish-sponsored fundraisers, because we think that young professionals are working jobs and should be able to at least save a little bit of money to do that. But if for whatever reason you have an extreme circumstance where like you feel like God is really placing this on your heart to attend this trip, and there is absolutely no way that you can pay this cost of the trip, please just talk to one of us before you decide not to go. There might be a way for us to help you out, or find a donor for you, or do something. So we'll take it as a case-by-case basis. I guess I should probably talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay, so travel insurance right now, we are saying that this is optional, but most people's health insurance covers them when they're abroad, so it's not really about the health insurance. But we did experience last year, just with the state of the world and the amount of terrorism that we were experiencing in Europe, we decided to make trip insurance mandatory. So right now, we're just going to say that it's not mandatory. You travel at your own risk. I don't ever really personally get trip insurance, but essentially there are different coverage options. There's two in particular that Allianz offers, and this is the insurance company that we'll use. And one is the cancel anytime insurance offering, and then the other is just a general travel insurance. So there's you can look online. There's a link that we can send out later on when it gets closer to registering and stuff. But I think last year, do you remember how much we paid? I think it was depending on your age and your the days that you were gone, I think it was $116 for us to go. Yeah. And I think if you were younger, it was a little bit more than that. But I think for somebody in their 20s and 30s, it's really it was $150 max, I think. So, so it's worth it to have that option if you feel oh, maybe somebody in my family is sick and I'm not sure how they're going to be doing, 6 months from now or whatever. That's a good reason to have it. Or if you're a nervous traveler, maybe you think this is a great idea, and closer to the trip, you're this is just not for me. But in terms of health insurance, although a lot of health things are covered in this, check with your healthcare provider, because they could very well cover you abroad.
Yeah.
And what we will do is, what we can look into as well is, having everybody, you guys will be able to purchase your own health insurance. So you can put it on a credit card or whatever you need to do. And I don't know if that helps your coverage or something. Maybe if you pay with a credit card, you don't have to, maybe sometimes it's discounted and things like that, but that's another story for another day. All right. So I don't think anybody's on. So if you have questions,
reach out.
Go ahead and email one of us. Tom is fluent in Spanish if you have questions in Spanish. I used to be fluent in Spanish, so I can try to help you, but he's going to be better. So please feel free to let us know if you have questions or concerns. I think one of the major concerns that I've heard about the itinerary is that it's a pilgrimage and I should say that we are staying in hotels. But the reason for that is because of the situation with hotels in Panama. And our travel agent, who's been down there a number of times now, has told us that really, if you get below like a 3 or 4 star hotel, it's really not cleanly, not safe. It's like in questionable parts of the city, or maybe there's bed bugs, that kind of thing. So he's just putting us like directly into 3 or 4 star hotels. And those are hotels like here in the United States that most of us have probably stayed at, like a Hampton or Hilton or Best Western or Holiday Inn, something along the way, Country Inn and Suites, that kind of thing. So that's one piece, but also the ability to have people travel in a group and stay in host homes is a pretty difficult thing. We were talking about this earlier. You went to, was it Toronto?
Toronto, yeah.
And
it was a very good experience to stay. I stayed with a host family with one other college student that I was traveling with. The difficulty that brings up is having a sort of continuity within our own group, because you end up staying all over the city. So there are advantages and disadvantages. The advantage to what we're doing in staying in hotels is we'll be able to do things as a group, and pray together and walk around the city together and get to know each other as well.
I think that's super important, especially as we start up young adult ministry here in the Holland Zeeland area. These long trips and things are really good opportunities to encounter Christ, number one, but to encounter each other. And I think that this is kind of what builds those bonds that leads to really strong ministry in the future, really strong young adult and young professional groups, and vibrant parishes that have young adults that stick around and want to attend Mass and lead others to attend the Mass and things like that, because they feel like they have community there. So so that's just another reason. So just we did the hotel thing last year, and quite honestly, I felt like it was just as much of a pilgrimage staying in a hotel. Because honestly, you don't really sleep. Like, you really just don't. Like, you are out so late and you get up so early, you get maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and you still feel, I don't want to say you feel miserable, but you definitely feel the exhaustion of what it would be like to be sleeping in a hostel or in a host family on a floor or something like that. And, like, if you want to give up your bed and sleep on the floor in the hotel, that is cool too. It's a spiritual experience. So just know that that's kind of where we're heading. I'm going to stop screen sharing really quick just to make sure that nobody else jumped on and nobody's asking any questions. And nope, it's still just us hanging out. So if you're watching this back, do you have anything else that we need to cover? I think we're good. If you're watching this back, thank you for watching. And we're going to start, quite honestly, we'll accept signups beginning on Monday, I think. So we'll have just like an information sheet for you to fill out. If you're interested, just contact one of us. And we do need to actually reserve your spot. We do need that $500, but you can be like, oh my gosh, I'm so interested. And they'll be like, okay, prove it. Send us your check. So just know that we are opening registration on Monday. Don't forget, like, Black Friday, you can like have your parents not get you a gift, have your siblings not get you a gift for Black Friday shopping, and they could just take whatever money they were going to spend at Black Friday, which probably wasn't that much because it was Black Friday, right? So, and give it to your pilgrimage fund.
There you go.
So reach out if you have any questions, and thanks for joining us. Oops, that's up here.